Well. Welcome to the show Trending Issues on FUTA Radio 93.1 FM. Yes, I know a lot of people would have been wondering, hey, what is going on? Well, it's coupled with the fact that we've got an interesting news right now. The fact that you can, of course, go over to YouTube to watch us live on YouTube as we, anchor this particular program on FUTA Radio 93.1 FM. Yes, for our listeners out there who would love to go over to YouTube at the moment, you have to make use of the YouTube app to be able to watch us live on YouTube. You would, of course, have to go to YouTube app and search for FUTA Radio live stream and, have a chance to watch this program live. And my name is Jude. I am right here in the studio with S.E.Gun, who is smiling. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm smiling because now people have a chance to put a face to the voices and possibly know who to arrest if there's any need to arrest anybody.
Interesting. All right, Father Leo is in the house as well. Good morning, Father.
Good morning. It's good to be here again.
All right. Now, yesterday we listened to the executive governor of the state come talk about the latest in the development of COVID-19 in the state. And all of what he said also has, some of the speculations that was raised about the whereabouts of some of those, patients that tested positive, like how, the state came about those additional figures right now, Father Leo.
Well, like we said yesterday, that we expected the state governor to address us as usual, as he usually does every week. And much that were expected yesterday were already taken care of by the governor. And the fact yesterday's speech was kind of different because it was very brief. As you know, the situation in Ondo State has not changed that much, except for the fact that in the past 3 or 4 days we had 2 cases, and he specifically mentioned the last case. But this time around is a bit different from what we used to have. As we know, majority of our cases in Ondo State were actually imported. We've heard the governor, even here, we have also emphasized the need to put more kind of what will I say now, to kind of guard our borders very well with the respective agencies. The governor had complained about it. We have also highlighted why we feel that the people too should take on some responsibilities upon themselves, and probably for government to also prosecute those who may be found guilty of this particular flouted this particular rule. But this time around, the case in Okiaro is actually not an imported case. And that is where a little bit of fear may start coming in now, because we have to be realistic with ourselves. Over the times, we'll be saying that, yes, our case in Ondo State has been different. It has always been imported. There is no cause for alarm. Still, there is no cause for alarm. But we just have to be in a very, very high alert, because this patient in question, according to what the governor said yesterday, she doesn't have a recent traveling history out of Ondo State. So that means that she must have contacted it within Ondo State. And once you start saying something about that, you're already talking about community transmission. That is the beginning of community transmission.
And that has been our fear.
Has been our fear, especially seeing how a lot of people have been throwing caution into the winds, people not obeying the precautionary measures, the physical and safe distancing that is expected of everyone. A lot of people have not actually been adhering to that. And I hope that with the statement of the governor yesterday, we will begin to see some changes, and you could see a kind of a little bit of change in the tone of his message too as well, beckoning on the security agencies, the task force, to make sure that those who are not supposed to be opening shops and offices are actually that case should be looked into, to make sure that things are done properly. All the policies and the directives that have been put on ground, that people adhere to them. Because at this stage now, we have to up our game. The government has to up its game. We, the people too, we have to do better, because now we have contact tracing. We do not know how many people are they tracing at the particular moment? And remember that before now, we still had about, I think, over 200 contact tracing for the previous cases. In as much as people are getting discharged and some persons are coming in, then but the fact remains that we still have to trace people so that we can know the lengths at which we already have this disease transmitted, so that even if when we have those people and they go through tests and hopefully by God's grace they come out negative, we can at least have some peace of mind. Then another thing I still want to mention regarding the governor's speech yesterday, even though some of his speech were not, most of the things he said might have not been captured in the formal speech, but if you watch it on TV and the kind of interactions and what have you, the governor also said something about the work that the committee set up had been doing. And according to the governor, so far so good. They have already had a donation of 700 million naira in terms of both cash and kind. And he also mentioned the fact that the state, from these donations, they're also seeing to see how they can bring in more facilities or what have you, especially vehicles, ambulances, to make sure that just in case we have cases that will be more than this, it will be, the state government will be powerful enough in order to handle some of these things. But by and large, it still comes down to us. Let the government do their part. Let the people to do their part. Now we are no longer talking about imported cases. We are already talking about the beginning, the genesis of community transmission in Ondo State. Wow. Remember, those who didn't import this case but have contracted the disease, they did that in the line of duty. That is the medical personnel. But this time around, this woman was not a medical personnel. She has no business to do with hospital, and she had not traveled out of the state. So it means that it was contracted from within.
Okay, this is still Trending Issues on FUTA Radio 93.1 FM. Yes, we are streaming live on YouTube right now as I speak. And in case if you fancy checking us out on YouTube, you would have to use the YouTube app and search for FUTA Radio Live Stream. I repeat, FUTA Radio Live Stream, to be able to watch us as we, of course, carry on with the show on your dazzling frequency 93.1 FM FUTA Radio. Well, Father Leo is still very much in the house, as well as S.E.Gun, whom I'm going to be handing the mantle right now to talk about what he felt about, the address by the governor yesterday.
Well, I must say that it appears as if we have a listening committee and a listening governor ever since we raised the issue of giving us details to allay the fears. They've been a bit more detailed in their response and all that, which is good. So in that particular aspect, we give kudos. Now I was of the, how do I put it, is it deduction now, or I theorized, that is by theory, that it's possible that because we're having more numbers in other states and maybe they're having issues with facilities, some people are feeling that, well, let's find our way to other states that don't have much numbers so that we can be attended to. You get my point, and that could be one of the reasons why we're having people come and we have a lot of imported cases. But the case 20, as the governor described it, did not travel, and according to the governor, she did not come in contact with anyone who traveled. So we're looking at a wider contact tracing net to be sure that we're able to capture and handle that situation properly. Interesting one about the contribution so far and what they are doing with it. But the other thing is, we're still talking about the possibility of the ease of lockdown. And one of the things that the governor mentioned in his speech is he will be having meeting with religious leaders.
For consultation
and the possibility of opening churches and mosque and all that. Some people might want to be wondering, okay, why will they be considering that our 20th case is community transmission is not imported, so to speak, and all the rest of them. But this is what I will say. Like I've always said, there are times when we need to actually just believe that the government knows what they are doing, and they know what they are saying, and they are in control, like they have what it takes. At least I'm a bit reassured, for instance, that in cash and in kind we are able to raise 700 million, and I can imagine if judiciously used, you understand, and well appropriated, and the things that they are meant to go for, so that we will not have another case of 4.3 billion naira in our hands. If it's judicially used, then we'll be sure that we should be able to deal with any issues that come, particularly with the ease of locking down. Don't forget that the likes of Lagos State and some other states as well have already started considering, this, and they are putting up parameters and all that. My only concern is that we are in the Ramadan period. You understand? That's my only concern. And for some of us who have actually experienced this in this part of the world, that is in Akure, we know how it is, when our Muslim brothers and sisters gather, particularly in this time. And I hope that in that consultation with the governor, with the religious organizations, they will actually, consider the Ramadan. What usually happens is there's a particular time, I don't know if this is the period or is it Ileya now, that they have mass gathering. The way they gather is very, very massive. And of course, if you look at the way they pray too, is close together. The way they pray does not actually, that is naturally, does not encourage social distancing. But if the governor has said in the course of his speech that we should continue to operate on those protocols, that is social distancing, hand washing, and using of face masks, which some people have relaxed on, by the way, in town. I see a lot of people are more relaxed now in town, all that. Let's hope that they consider that, okay, like Lagos is coming up with rules and regulations on, okay, if we are going to actually reopen churches, you understand, we will do inspections and see whether you comply with the things that need to be complied with them before you can open. So if that is going to be the case here too as well, now that will be fine. And I'm hoping, because for someone like me, some people might say, S.E.Gun, you are a troublemaker. No, I'm not a troublemaker. And why am I saying this? If something is working elsewhere, you understand, it makes sense to try and investigate and see how it is working somewhere and see how we can apply it. And I'm still questioning why at the level of the Nigerian Governors Forum, and we had information, for instance, that the president met with, committee, met with some people, and we are still not finding out this app that Kogi State is using. And because they are still zero as far as COVID is concerned in Nigeria. So if, for instance, we are getting to the stage where everybody is seriously considering ease of locking down, okay, let's get back to reopening our businesses normally, worship centers are opened and all that. Perhaps, you understand, it might be time to deploy this app to help, so that we'll be able to contain all the issues that may arise.
All right, now talking about the fact that with the state government trying to make some consultations with religious leaders, seeing how they can possibly resume religious activities right now. Over time, just like what S.E.Gun said, they have been this relaxation of the people towards adhering to some of these directives as to the precautionary measures to take to curb the spread of the pandemic. And we listened to the governor at the address he gave before this recent one, when he mentioned that the state would be forced to go into mobile courts, and of course to somewhat enforce some of these lay down rules. But as it is looking right now, even with the address which he gave, that wasn't mentioned if we have gotten to that period or not for that to come into play at the moment, Father Leo.
I feel that you see, sometimes to make people to comply with rules and regulations can be very, very difficult, especially that it is natural for human beings to be like that. But when you now talk about the peculiarity of individuals, You now talk about the peculiarity of Nigerians. I used to say it. I'm a Nigerian. I'm not saying every Nigerian is like that, but an average Nigerian, once you give an average Nigerian a law, the first thing that an average Nigerian wants to think of is how to break the law before even thinking of how to obey the law. And I feel that just like what S.E.Gun said, probably in the same vein, I feel that we should rather be careful of what we want to do at this very moment. Because the time at which the governor is mentioning this, yes, we don't know what is in his mind, we don't know what the plan is, but we can at least think ahead and prospect into the future, as the case may be, and see that and ask ourselves what are the possibilities that could come out from these meetings, and at the same time using this medium to also point the attention of the government to some of the things which probably they may be overlooking or may not be coming to their attention naturally. It is always good to err on the side of caution than to err on the side of action. You know, when you take caution because you want to avoid something, you want to curtail something, and at the end, the danger does not happen, you have nothing to lose. In fact, you have a lot to gain, because you have already prepared yourself for it, and you have already made sure that that danger does not come to you. So it is always better to err on the side of caution. But if you err on the side of action, you have already taken an action, and at the end, you've seen that you have made an error in judgment. You know, some places have suffered from it. Just yesterday, there was a report that came from Chicago. From Texas, Houston, in the United States, where this just last Sunday, Upper Sunday, not day before yesterday, the Upper Sunday, when a bishop asked the church members to go to church, and priest opened the church, and as we speak now, all the priests in that community have become have become coronavirus positive, and in fact, one of them had already lost his life. And why was that decision made? Probably they felt that, okay, this place is one of the places where we have little cases compared to other places.
Of course, Texas, we have natural
distancing. The way their houses are built there, the way people socialize there is different from what you see in some of the other states, other states in America. And probably maybe that bishop felt that, okay, it's a thing that we can manage. But you can see that as far as that is concerned now, looking at the result, you can see that will be an error in judgment. And I hope that we do not put ourselves in a likewise situation, because for me, before you think of that, you have to first of all look at the subject. And who are the subjects here? The people. Even without going to church, how have the people been complying?
Well, you must say, but if you actually paid attention to the speech from the governor, he did commend the people. You understand? He did commend compliance, up till now.
I doubt it personally, because I don't think the governor comes to Akure Town, he goes to Ojaba or Araromi or to see what is happening. But we are the ones who I beg to differ.
But he gets his information from somewhere, because I read, except if what I read is not, you understand?
Yes, I am not saying the governor didn't say that. I am saying that I do not agree with that submission, because we go out to buy things, we drive around the town, I come to this place every day. I do one or two things at the heart of Akure rather, almost every day, and I see things, and personally I would say that I am not happy with the way things are going. Even this market that are opened on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You see, last week I wanted to go to Alagbaka from Cathedral, and I felt that, the last time I passed through Ojaoba on market day, I didn't like the experience. So I was like, okay, let me take an alternative route. And I said, okay, let me go through Isikon roundabout, go through Arakale. By the time I got to Cashwood in Arakale, if you see the hold up, and I said, okay, let me maneuver my way again, pass through Cashwood to bust out to Old Garage from Cashwood. That space of Old Garage, you have to come and see. My car was on the standstill for 20 minutes. I am not exaggerating. And it was from there that I said, I've just told myself, I said, see, if community transmission should start in Ondo State, we are in trouble. The way I'm telling you the fact. So those who are giving the governors information, I don't know the kind of information they give, but we are the ones who go to the town. We are the ones who see these things. And as far as I'm concerned, in my own humble opinion, I feel that majority of the people within this Akure city are still not complying to all these precautionary measures.
Let us trust the government.
Because even, in fact, I can give another example. Just go through where you have the banks. The way people cluster in the. If you go to the banking hall, you can see some decorum there.
Exactly.
But the way people cluster, and I said, if somebody here is coronavirus positive, before anybody else enters to where you have this distancing, that person might have already contracted the disease. So for me, is to look at the subject. The subjects are the people. If people are not compliant enough, I do not think that it is the right. I know it is difficult. See, I am a priest. I work within a religious organization. We in my own religious organization, we have people that we employ, people who only depend on the salaries that we pay them at the end of the month. There is no organization that this is not affecting. We have to pay workers' salary. We have to do maintenance. We have to do a lot of things. So I get it that yes, a lot of people are really canvassing for this. But what would be you see, now the danger is going to be on the rise. We are already taking, you see, it is too much for us to take too much risk. And this is what I mean. With this thing happening now, even with the situation of our 28th case, that at this point, you cannot take anything for granted. Asking people to go to market, to go to a particular place, almost everybody at the same time, twice a week. I understand that the government has to do it that way instead of making every day. Making it twice a week means that you are reducing the risk. But that twice a week is still a risk. So asking churches and mosques to reopen at this time is to increase the risk. Because we can say that so far, because some persons have been making the argument, if people can go to market, why can't you open the church? You may understand that way, but you also have to ask them, is it by increasing the risk or by reducing the risk?
Nice one.
Because the more you open up places, you are increasing the risk. And once you increase the risk, and what I used to say the other time, if you want to take a risk, it has to be a calculated risk. You ask yourself, if I should do this, then this is a risk. If something else happens, if there are consequences, will I be able to handle the consequences? If you say, okay, I should be able to handle the consequences, I'll prepare for it. That's the calculated risk. But it could either be, will I be able to handle the risk? No. But at the same time, you want to go ahead. You are trying to say that you are damning any kind of consequence that comes out of it. So it's not as if one is being kind of disconnected from the reality, from the economic reality and everything. But we are trying to see how we can strike a balance. We're already going through a lot of risk at this moment. And I do not feel that it is the right time for us to increase the risk. Maybe after looking at this 28th case, doing the contact tracing, maybe if, let's say, out of 80% of those contact tracing, we have people who have come back negative, then we can say that, okay, it's not as if we are all over it, we are through it, but at least you know that, okay, the risks are not that much.
But the thing is, they have not reached a decision. They are still.
Yes, I get it. I am only pointing our attention to it.
I know you are giving them information to work with, you know, as they will be. So I'm sure all of these things will be rightly considered, you know, in reaching a decision that will ensure that everyone is okay. I can feel the pulse of those on the street as well, because people are getting to a level where I still had like 2 or 3 people talk along this line that it's most possible that it's going to happen. For instance, that we'll get a case where COVID will become like malaria or like any other situation where if you have it, you can be cured, or it can be managed, or like HIV. I mean, I did extensive work on HIV and AIDS, at a point in time, active in it, and so far so good. We're not making so much noise about it now as we used to in the past. Does that mean that we don't still have HIV?
Of course not.
It doesn't mean so. You understand? So people are just weary. People are just like, more so if people are getting treated, for instance, if people are surviving it, and you will find that one of the things that the government did say, and anyone that wants to speak say, is it is not a death sentence. So and that is to reduce stigma, because you get a lot of posts about people having certain fears that should not be had. You get my point? So it is not a death sentence. Let us know that it's a manageable situation. The only people that are at risk are those that have underlying issues. And then, so that we just put it out there as well, we've heard that there's a possibility of vitamin C overdose, so that people will not now start thinking that when we say boost your immune system and all, you understand?
Start taking it.
They will now start. See, the drug abuse is drug abuse. It is not something, that makes sense. It is not something that is nice. So let us keep safe. Let us have a good mental strength and know that everything is going to be okay. That's just from me to you.
All right, like we did mention, we are streaming live on YouTube as I speak right now. If you want to check us out on YouTube, just use the YouTube app and search for FUTA Radio live stream. You'd see us on there. You'd of course get a chance to see Father Leo and S.E.Gun and my very own self right here on the show Trending Issues. And of course, you can post a comment on the portal where you have the comment on there. Post a comment and we'll be reading them, a few of them, depending on how much time we have left on the show. Well, moving on right now to the latest developments from the PTF, talking about the fact that the federal government right now has maintained ease of lockdown for another 2 weeks at the moment. S.E.Gun.
Well, it's interesting. Let's start from the beginning.
From the beginning.
As at the time yesterday when we were on air, really, we were expecting that we're going to get a speech from the president. It was later, after investigation, that we realized that the information about the presidential speech did not come from any of the media aides, of the president. It came from a part of the PTF, team. But of course, all the dailies, they actually picked it. A majority of the dailies picked it. Of course, he said they made this on Channels TV. That's where he made it, and that's why people put some credibility to it and expected the president, to comment. By the time we got the statement from the media aide, Femi Adesina, he said that there was no plan of the first information. That's the initial information, in the first place. Now, having said that, the PTF still came up with, well, we can say instructions from the president. Boss Mustafa spoke at length yesterday, and he actually represented what the president wanted us to hear. And some things are to continue, Some things are to continue as it is. That is the ease of the lockdown, for instance. We'll continue them. But in Kano State, for instance, they should actually continue their own lockdown. Even though we are getting information, for instance, that the president has said that the governors should link up with the PTF, that is with the task force, and come up with what is best, for each state, which is actually how it should be if we're to actually look at it, critically, So, at least whether the president spoke directly or not, we have a team that always does briefing and keeps us, informed as to what is happening and the updates and all that. I know we spent a lot of time trying to imagine if I was going to talk about the economy. Sake actually was expecting that they mentioned petrol and all the rest of them, and many other issues. But everything he had to say still boiled down to the health intervention that we are doing, and ease of locking down because of the economy. It's necessary, really, as it is. So the thing is, the wisdom to do it in such a way that everybody will be all right. Sincerely, we have to be grateful to God that so far so good compared to other places, and because of our unique situation, some of the projections and fears that have been entertained that by now we would have been reaching apocalyptic magnitude and levels. We are not there yet. So we really must be grateful. And just like we say, we must also try not to abuse the grace that has been extended to us. Whatever it is that is in our capacity to do, we should do so. Everyone that is praying, keep praying, don't relent. Everyone that is researching, keep researching, don't relent. Whatever it is that you are doing, to ensure that we together contain this, particularly what concerns the individual, and which is the aspect that Father Leo has raised, your own
consciousness.
Yes, your own ability or your own role. Enlightening those around you, social distancing, washing your hand. See, we have our own personal sanitizer that we go with now. So whenever you just do shh, and if you get the one that has nice smell, you'll be encouraged to use it. Just don't rub it.
Don't overuse it. All right then.
No, but you know that you have to use it as in at intervals.
Yes.
As soon as you touch a surface and not dress of them.
Yeah.
And then you do Wakanda from a distance or do Kineko. But we will be all right. Really, we will be all right. Let me just, give some people hope. Yeah, we will be all right.
Okay, we have some comments right now. I've got this one coming from Dari Raphael, which says, shout out to S.E.Gun and Father Leo. Please, where is Skywalker? He's asking, where is Skywalker?
I will respond. Skywalker is camera shy for now. So as soon as we get him to love cameras, then you will see him.
And something from Ebon which says, good morning, FUTA Radio. I am watching you live here in Kaduna State. Quality pics and good audio outputs. Many thanks. Thank you very much. And lastly, this one from Lashain De Titilayo. It says, good enlightening program. Well done, guys. We're saying well done to you too for listening to the show.
Kaduna people, please stay safe. Greet El-Rufai for me.
You can still send in your comments via the comment portal. If you're watching us live on YouTube, mind you can get to watch us live on YouTube by making use of the YouTube app, and you can search FUTA Radio live stream. Search FUTA Radio live stream, and you'd get a chance to watch us live in the studio. All right, now. Looking at the fact that from Lagos State we've listened to the state government right now, and of course the state's task force come up to talk about this issue of testing of evacuees into the country from the countries that they get to come into the country from, and stating that this is something that can't be trusted at the moment. And we've had cases whereby 3 of the evacuees from Dubai right now tested positive even after they got tested from Dubai before coming into Nigeria. What say you, Father Leo?
Over the times, even while we have been talking about our testing capacity in the country, even though many of us are worried about it, but at the same time, we understand the situation that NCDC is going through. We know that the struggle to have some of this equipment, the reagents and what have you from the world market, it's like a competition now. Everybody is in need of it. I doubt if there are any country in the world now, probably maybe just like one or two are still left out when it comes to the issue of coronavirus. And we also have an history of some of the equipment that we received based on some person's benevolence, that some of these things were not even of quality. And over the times, we have been discussing and trying to, and analyzing how we can actually boost our testing capacity. But many times too, the Director General of NCDC had come out to say, see, if we have to do testing, we have to do it for real. We have to make sure that whatever the results we are getting are the true results. We don't want to do something based on quantity and compromise on the quality of the testing that are being carried out. And so you can imagine or understand why we have some of these issues. For instance, those who came from Dubai, what we were told was that they had already been tested over there before they brought them into the country. And by the time they came into the country, they still had to run another test on them again. We remember the kind of fracas that ensued between the Commissioner for Health in Lagos and these evacuees. And for me, when that result came out, what just came to my mind was that now you people, you see why government is also playing the game this way, so that you just feel that when you say, okay, they don't allow you to move around, they don't allow you to come out of the hotel compound and things like that, then you can understand why the government is doing that. So imagine now that they have 3 people already tested positive. That means we also have to talk about contact tracing, because whether you like it or not, these people they interact among themselves, they interact with the staff of the hotel and what have you, even though they may not be leaving the compound. So it's a very serious situation, and I feel that maybe at this moment what we just have to keep doing is to be doing what we are already doing. But if and only if we can just increase maybe maybe by luck or by chance or by providence, we have more equipment, more testing equipment to do some of these things. But I agree with the fact that what is worth doing at all is worth doing well. If you are testing people, you don't want to tell somebody who is positive that is negative. And by the time the person starts moving around unknowingly to him and to other people around him with so much confidence in his or her mind, we feel that, yes, I'm coronavirus free. And before you know it, would have infected a lot of people. And you don't want to tell somebody who is negative that he or she is positive. Imagine the psychological effect, change that comes with it and what have you. So in this situation, that is what it is. Even if we are bringing more evacuees into the country, we still have to make sure that we test them over here. See, this issue of coronavirus is a very, very complicated thing. Just if within the space of 5 minutes, you can go from negative to positive. With the other time, we were talking about formites. You touch a lot of things. You don't know who has touched this thing. Between my movement here to where I'll be going in the next few minutes, I might have come in contact with a lot of things or a lot of people. Even from the movement they had, right from their homes abroad to the airport, to our own airport, to the place where they are lodged. They have met a lot of people. They have touched a lot of things. So it's a very, very, very complicated situation, especially when you look at the way this virus is being transmitted among people. So I feel that we have to keep on taking that caution that NCDC have been trying to do within their best capability to see, let us do the best we can ensure that we do. And I feel that it is still the way to go. But what we still continue to clamor for is the fact that our health workers, we still have to keep on putting attention on them. We still have to keep on providing the PPEs for them, because at this stage in time, we need all hands on deck. And if we have our health workers, we already have a lot of them now who have already tested positive. So it's like you are taking soldiers away from the battleground when they are not even yet dead or whatsoever, when they can still carry their guns and what have you. But at this point in time, this battle that we are all fighting together, we need to do everything possible to make sure that we defeat this enemy.
All right, so let me just take some few comments from our YouTube live stream. This one coming from Dokas Nwagwe says, it is really nice watching you guys live. Well done, FUTA Radio. And something by Taiwo Shion says, nice video quality. Taiwo Tudbaski actually saying, hailing you all big time. And something from Ogunjobi Steven, my daily dose, that's what it says about the program. Nice one, bless you. And something by Zenya Giamba says, nice analysis, keep it up. I can't do without this program in a day. Many thanks to you all for your comments. Mind you, you can watch us live on YouTube. We are streaming live. You can of course do that by searching FUTA Radio live stream using the YouTube app, and you'd get to watch this program live on YouTube. Now, still back to the issue right now, coming to S.E.Gun on this one. Now, we have listened to them coming up to say this. How would they try to make amends of such, trying to get the people rest assured that once they come into Nigeria with the treatment that they would be getting accurate results? And we've got this speculation from people saying that what they tend to, or the results they tend to get, is not their actual status, talking about COVID-19.
There's been a lot of conspiracy theories where I read a case of one person in Delta State and others of them. I remember Raymond Dopesi of Dark Communications. That one too is there. And one of the issues that you need to note also that the evacuees were actually complained about is just standard of living. Yeah,
their treatment.
Treatment and all that, of which...
and I think NNPC and CBN, they are trying to do something right now.
The thing is, some of these issues point to our general situation, in the nation, the way we pay attention to things, compare the standard of living, in the nation as well, which we need to pay attention to. We need to work to international standards, and so that we have, when people come, there is no discrepancy. They see that, we can actually live here too. And we're grateful that we've not had anyone travel out of the country. Everyone has been treated here, and they've been responding here, which is good. Now, considering the fact that evacuees need to be tested, or they were tested in Dubai, they got here, and when they tested them, it became positive. One of the things that I want to harp on is what the state epidemiologist, Ondo State epidemiologist, mentioned, that is Dr. Fagbemi, when he was here on the show at one point in time. He said the fact that you test negative does not mean that you are safe. You get my point. The testing is just to know who has it, but if you still do not stick to the precautions, if you are still exposed to prevailing circumstances where you are predisposed, to have it,
you can still have it.
You can test negative now and be exposed to the virus the next second.
Minute.
I prefer second. You get my point. The next second. So testing is good, and I look at it from that particular angle. So if we are having a case of someone being tested in Dubai and he gets here and he tests positive, then we should investigate. You understand? How did it happen between that time and this time that he came in supposedly, that, and that was the fight that we had with the issue of the Chinese doctors that caused a lot of brouhaha, even still causing some issues. People are still discussing about it right now, and some people are like, when this matter started, we felt it was the federal government that was. Now, how can the Minister of Health be saying that he doesn't know where it is? Then CC come and say that we know where they are. And a lot of back and forth on issues that are not supposed to be back and forth over, if I'm permitted to use that. But the thing is this case actually comes to the fact that, let